في بس اوكي اوكي. السلام عليكم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السلام عليكم everyone. I'm Dr. Iman Akour from the Department of Information System, an associate professor and a member of Women in Research Committee. It's my honor to be part of this second forum for women in research. And I would like to introduce the panel session and the panelists. This panel session will be about post-pandemic effect on research and innovation. Our first, I would like to introduce Professor Dima Jamali. She will be the panel moderator. Professor Dima is currently the Dean of the College of Business Administration at the University of Sharjah. Before this position, she was also a professor at the School of Management, School of Business at the American University of Beirut, where she served in many positions. Professor Dima also served as an expert consultant on a project funded by the United Nations Development Program. And of course, she has many publications in prestigious journals, as well as many books as well. Our second panelist will be Professor Hakima Amri. Professor Hakima is a professor of biochemistry and physiology at Georgetown University with over 25 years of experience in research and graduate education. Professor Hakima research focus is directed toward understanding the action mechanism of disease processes using comprehensive system biology approach. She investigates cancer, biomarkers, and biosignature identification using big data. Our next panelist is Dr. Taghreed Sammak. Dr. Sammak holds a PhD degree in computer science from DePaul University in Chicago. She's an engineering manager and technical lead at Google in the United States. She's experienced as a data scientist using applied machine learning and networking. Our next panelist, Dr. Safa Nasruddin. She's currently the Vice President for Jerusalem Affairs at Al-Quds University in Palestine. Prior to this position, she was the Minister of the Ministry of Telecommunication and Information and Technology, which she was the first female minister in this field in Palestine. And our last and not the least panelist is Dr. Hissa Suwaidi. She's a physician and public health consultant. She's working now as the Executive Director of Sharjah Child Friendly Office. She received her Bachelor of Medicine and Surgery from University of Emirates, and she holds also a master's degree in maternal and child health from Aberdeen University in Scotland, in UK. She also holds another master's degree and a doctorate degree from University of Tulane University in Louisiana in clinical, in public health and mother and childhood. Now I would like to give the floor to Professor Dima. She will be the moderator for this panel session with very interesting talks. I just like to remind the audience, please, if you do have questions, you can hold it until the end and we will have time for the questions. Professor Dima, the floor is yours. Thank you, everyone.
Very good morning to all of you. Sabah al-khair, assalamu alaikum. And it's a pleasure to be moderating this panel, which involves amazing panelists that were just introduced by Dr. Iman. Thank you so much, Dr. Iman. Just let me start by saying that I'm a strong believer in the power of women and in their ability to shape not only research, but also economies. And I think I'm very proud that today we've managed to add in the College of Business, we've managed to add another 4 women faculty members. So we've doubled our number in terms of female representation in the college in 1 year. And this is really an achievement, and we hope to continue to go forward. So it's a pleasure again to be with you. And let me start by asking each of our panelists to introduce themselves very briefly, maybe to add 1 or 2 words to what Dr. Iman has just shared, something maybe that was not mentioned, and then we can start with the questions of the panel. So maybe I start with the same order we have. I'll start with you, Prof. Hakima. Maybe you want to introduce yourself very briefly and then move on to the remaining panelists. Dr. Hakima, please, brief introduction.
Thank you. Yes. Thank you, Dr. Dima. And I would like to start by thanking the organizers of this wonderful day and for extending the invitation to participate and be among these wonderful women and wonderful people of the United Emirates. So, well, thank you for the thorough introduction that you did at the beginning, and there isn't much to add. So I am, I'm from Algeria originally, from North Africa. That's where I did my undergraduate studies in developmental biology. And then I completed my master's and PhD at the University Pierre and Marie Curie in Paris, France. And I heard that there were many references to Marie Curie. She's my role model. And it was just, you know, a great, coincidence that I ended up at the University Pierre and Marie Curie in Paris. After that, I came to the United States, to Georgetown University in Washington, DC, and to pursue my postdoctoral studies. And that was 27 years ago. I'm still at Georgetown. So from the postdoctoral position, now I'm a professor, and I have other positions there. I conduct my research in big data and cancer research. So that's in a nutshell.
Thank you. It's such a pleasure to have you with us. Also, Dr. Hessa, very briefly, would you like to add anything in way of introduction? The floor is yours.
Thank you, Professor Dima. I'm so proud to be among those elite, really, panelists. Just to add to Dr. Iman's introduction, I am a physician. I am from Sharjah originally. I'm also so proud that I am among the first batch graduated from UAE University, College of Medicine. And then I choose to do major in maternal and child health. As Dr. Iman mentioned, I have my postgraduate in UK and in the United States. I came back in 2006, and then I joined my team here in Sharjah. I was working in Ministry of Health to lead maternal and child health programs in the community. We are so proud of our work. Also, I worked in parallel with Sharjah government, with the Supreme Council for Family Affairs. We have a lot of interesting projects, so maybe we'll have chance just to touch some of the projects during our discussion. And also, I upscaled my, let's say, career with also having a passion in children's rights. I was developing my passion with my children as they were growing. So I have also a master advanced study in children's rights from University of Geneva, Switzerland.
Thank you so much, Dr. Hessa, for the amazing introduction. And it's a pleasure to have somebody from Sharjah with us for this event. And I move on to Dr. Taghreed. Maybe you want to add a few comments to the introduction, Dr. Taghreed?
So I'm also very honored and humbled to be among this group of amazing women. So I'm originally from Egypt. I finished my undergraduate studies in computer science in Alexandria University. Then I moved to the US for my PhD. And after that, I joined Berkeley National Lab for a few years of research. I did data science for a lot of applications, including biology, chemistry, very interesting. Then I moved back to computer science networking. So I now work at Google, particularly doing network data analysis. I have a team that build software for forecasting what our network would look like in the years and months ahead. I'm very passionate about learning. So I also have a law degree on the side. So I enjoy interdisciplinary work. And I'm happy to see all of those activities all over the world and collaborate with other people. Well, thank you again.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to have you with us this morning. And I think Dr. Safa is running a bit late, so we're going to just jump into the panel and start with the first round of questions to each of the panelists. I want to start with a question about the challenges and the stereotypes that you have encountered during your career. Because I know as a woman, I have also encountered a set of unique challenges throughout different milestones in my career. So I think it would be important to dwell on these and to share with the audience some of the challenges that we have encountered, maybe an experience, an example that you can share. And then from there, we want to also see how you've managed to address those challenges and what kind of support you got from your organization, your family, your ecosystem around you. So I'll start with you again, Dr. Hakima. Challenges and stereotypes you've encountered, how to address them. We would be grateful if each of you could just stick with 2 minutes of time for us to stay on time, 2 to 3 minutes roughly.
Well, thank you. Challenges for women. And so we tend to think that women are undervalued in general. And that's what, and growing up in cultures where, that are male dominated and working in fields that are male dominated, academia, as we know, has been male dominated, but I think things have changed and continue to change. And from what we have been hearing today about the accomplishments of women and young women, and it's really empowering and encouraging. And I think I think the world is changing for women. Challenges. So, as I mentioned, academia has been really is male dominated, and it's interesting to think, now that you are asking me what are the challenges. It's in my experience, it's we tend to think that women cannot accomplish what men accomplish, cannot have that mind for discovery and innovation, cannot maybe move forward with the sciences. We tend to, the stereotypes is that women are more, on the soft side of things, and which is not necessarily true. And that's what we have been hearing today. So I consider myself fortunate to grow up in a family that was encouraging women. and that didn't see women different than boys. And I grew up in an environment where the parents were not seeing that difference and providing the same empowering environment to all of us. So that's how I have been, raised up. And from age of 12, from my first class of biology, I knew that that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a researcher. And we heard the references to Marie Curie today. She has always been my role model since that age. And by reading her biography at very early, I realized that the path for science, as she said, is never easy, swift or easy. So I was mentally prepared, I think, to the challenges that that could be faced. So I will leave it at that, and I will come back to answer more, give the chance to leave the time for others to answer the questions.
Thank you. This was really amazing insights and very inspiring. I move on to Dr. Hessa. Maybe you could share with us also challenges that you may have encountered and stereotypes and ways to overcome them.
Yeah, of course. Maybe just to top on Professor Hakima's, challenges. Actually, we are blessed, alhamdulillah, in UAE with our government supporting women, empowering women, especially in the beginning of the 50 years of our history. There was all the opportunity open for women, led by Sheikh Zayed and now by Sheikh Khalifa, and all the leadership encouraging women. As Ms. Fatma presented, we have 9 ministers. This is, on one hand, it is so, wow achievement. My stereotyping was, I was shocked, when I started practicing, and then I have my own, life. Having the conflict, the difficulty in balancing family life with demand of, being a professional, being a lead person. Again, as Dr. Hakima said, it's not only science is led by dominated by male, it's also our HR systems in public and in private. I'm so happy with Ms. Fatma presentation today. When a woman leading HR system, they are so sensitive for women needs. My my projects or my my all we design a lot of projects to improve women, to improve family infrastructures here in Sharjah. So I hope that we will reach to those a balanced ecosystem where women and children, also parents, are encouraged to achieve at family life and also at their career.
Great. So I think this is a great insight that HR systems are dominated by males, although our HR system here at the university is dominated by women. So I'm very proud of that. And many colleges, their staff are women dominated. So thank you. That's quite an interesting insight. And I move to Dr. Tagreed. Please, you want to share with us some of the challenges you may have encountered and stereotypes? The floor is yours. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's usually hard to kind of speak to challenges because people tend to generalize. So thank you for phrasing it as like your personal challenges. As I think back, it's not like so every stage in my study or life had different challenges. So thinking of like a theme across them, maybe like 2 things kind of pop up is that, and they're kind of related, where okay, we tend to kind of also underestimate ourselves, like Professor Hakima was saying, but also it kind of projects to where we always have to prove ourselves, or you hear even like comments that, oh, we're not good at computers, but we're better at something else. So we kind of, but like at every stage is different. Like now we're all working remote because of the pandemic, and you have to kind of speak up to be heard even in a remote world, and you also have to notice everyone else. So like our body language is whole different, and you kind of have to be sure that you voice your concern even more than when you're in person, where like you kind of tend to kind of like raise your hand a little bit. So I think it's more of not being or maybe like there's a bias for underestimation towards minorities generally. So it's not just women, because I work in like an international, we all work in international environments, and you see like someone like, if you're a minority, you kind of have to kind of be sure that you speak up, because otherwise like all the cultural difference will show up. People wouldn't expect you to know this or have been exposed to certain things. So I think that's like has been like a common theme where you kind of speaking up is a kind of a big thing, and being not underestimated, or like if you don't speak up, people will assume. So I think challenge assumption is the big challenge here, where like you don't want to put yourself in a place where if they assume something, then you're confirming it for not speaking up, for example.
Yeah, I think this is amazing, and I couldn't agree more. I think you hit on some really good points that always like this pressure to prove yourself. And I found from my career, I've always had to work even harder in order to prove myself. So maybe work hard and hard. Like every place you go, you have to prove yourself, and also speaking up and making sure that you're heard and your concerns are really communicated. So you summed it up beautifully, I think, Tari, that it's about challenging assumptions, because there is a bias for underestimation generally for women. And I couldn't agree more with these insights. So I think this was a beautiful start for the panel. I want to move from here to something positive. So we started with the challenges. Now we want to talk a little bit more about the kind of support that you managed to get from your organization, from your ecosystem. Like can women rally support around them? What can they do? What strategies can they use in order to rally the support that they need to overcome these challenges and stereotypes that we discussed at the beginning? So again, may I start with you, Prof. Hakima, about support, how to mobilize support?
Absolutely. I see that Dr. Safa joined us.
Great.
Maybe give her a chance to introduce
yes.
herself also to the
For
podium.
sure. Dr. Safa, if you're with us, I'd like to give you 2 minutes for a brief introduction. And then I think maybe also to ponder about the first question that we opened to all the panelists, which is the challenges and stereotypes that face women. From your own experience, what kind of challenges and stereotypes have you faced during your career? So please, the floor is yours, Dr. Safa.
Thank you, Dr. Dima. Thank you, Dr. Manar, for allowing us to participate in this important conference. It is really very nice to have all these ladies and to share experience. So I think for me, I had several challenges during my life. First of all, I'm from Palestine, from Jerusalem, Al-Quds. So that's the first challenge, big challenge, I think, that you all know about. So I did my electronic engineering in Palestine, and I was the first lady or first female to be in this department in electronic engineering. With all the guys around me, I was the only female there. And then I decided to continue my studies for the master's and PhD in France, which is also not very acceptable by our conservative families and so on. So first I wanted to study abroad. My father refused, and then because of the first Intifada, we were obliged to stay 8 years to study the engineering instead of 5 years. So he was obliged to allow me to go to France and continue my studies. So I did the master's and PhD in electronic engineering and signal processing, which is also a very unique field that you don't find any females there. So in the laboratory in France, I was the only female also. And when I came back to Palestine to search for work, they told me, oh, electronic engineering, PhD, overqualified. What can we give you as a job? So we don't have this specialization to be able to work here in Palestine. So together with one of the people here, we can say rich people in Palestine, he wanted to memorize his child who passed away. So he created a IT college. So I was the dean of an IT college in Jerusalem, and I started it from the beginning as an only employee. I wrote all the bylaws, all the permissions, all the procedures to have a real faculty of IT in Jerusalem. And I worked in this faculty till 2009. Being an electronic engineer, I missed many times at many fields in the technology, like databases, whatever they want to teach in IT. So I followed many courses. I did Microsoft Certified System Engineer. I did Microsoft Certified Application Developer, HR. You spoke about HR now. I have a certificate in HR. I did all the certificates that I can have to be a qualified dean. And in spite of that, I will come to my life with challenges at the same time. People didn't see that a lady would be the dean of a college, founding a college. So I had many challenges in that, to be the only lady. Around me, all the professors are that I have to recruit are male professors and so on. So I tried to look here and there for any ladies also to empower them and to work with me. And afterwards, I went to the ministry as a technical advisor to the minister, and there were really great challenges. In the Ministry of Telecommunication, all the leaders in the telecom companies are males also. And when I want to speak anything, and they didn't take it for granted or what, seriously, yes. I know you all understand what I'm saying. I hope we have here male colleagues to understand us and hear what challenges we are facing. And then I became the Minister of Telecommunication, and I was the first lady to be Minister of Telecommunication in Palestine and in the Arab world. And then afterward, we had at least 6 ministers in 2013. In Qatar, there was a lady. In Algeria, then there was a lady. And in Sudan, in different countries, there were a lady after 1 year when I was the only female minister. And there also, sometimes when we are discussing things and I have to take a decision, people were discussing around me and not take me, as I said, seriously. So I had to tap on the table. Hey, people, I'm the minister here. I'm the one who decides. Despite that, people say that I have a strong character and so on, but really we suffer. We have to do double the work. We have to work at home, we have to work outside, and outside we have to do double the effort in order to be seen, in order to be taken seriously, as you said, and in order to succeed. And also in the research, now I'm in the Al-Quds University as a vice president also. I am the only vice president in the university. They are all male colleagues. And it's not that easy also to be in charge and have people, but my advice is always to look for your network, for your own support network. And I find always people around me who can help me, and maybe we can talk about it more, the advices in your next question.
My next question.
So I will stop here and yes.
But you're really helping us to leap into the next question. But I just want to comment that it's amazing the amount of harmony that we have in terms of the challenges. And this is great because it will really help to convey to our audience that this is not an individual experience, that these experiences are indeed shared, that these challenges are indeed common, that women tend to be undervalued, underheard, underestimated. They have to work harder. They have to prove themselves time and again. And I think this we encounter in different contexts, not only in academia, in actual business organizations, and they are real challenges. Moving from there to how to address these challenges, I will like to turn to each of these participants to also give us a positive spin, like what kind of strategies they managed to use in order to overcome these challenges. I start with you, Prof. Hakima, and move from there. Please go ahead.
Yeah, so the question that was there was the support that you get from your organization and the ecosystem. Yeah, so the support the support starts really early on with the family, I think. So if the family is supportive and empowering and really, you know, providing the right environment and the right ecosystem for success and for thriving and, you know, becoming, having a voice and moving forward. So it starts with the family. And then it's the country. And I heard today wonderful wonderful points, you know, of support from the UAE leadership for the women there in the country. That's wonderful. I can speak for my own country, for Algeria, and the support for women there is tremendous. And we are from a country where who is also a young country, and where where women played the big role from the revolution all the way to where we are today. So there has always been support. So as an example, in the 80s, Algeria had women in the government. So, and women played a big role in the revolution. Then for myself, the support also came from my government to provide the scholarship, full-fledged scholarship for my studies in France. And that was a great, you know, opportunity to pursue my dream of becoming a researcher one day and staying in academia. So that's the type of support I received. And I always, you know, I always say it starts really early on, and also take advantage of the networking, of the mentoring, you know, that you can get around you. It's very important. My organization right now at my university, I see the leadership also doing a lot to promote women in leadership positions, to provide equity, gender equity. I have been there almost 30 years, so I have seen that progress, you know, happening. 30 years ago, the environment or the ecosystem was male dominated,